Hey guys, my name is IJustDie and I'm here with part 2 of the solo lane matchups. Part 1 is in the description down below. Herbois. Now, Herbois is rarely played in solo lane, but when he is very annoying to deal with. The main thing he has going for him though is his poke, so if you can pick a god with sustain built into their kit, you should be relatively fine. Hercules and Sobek can also displace him, which will likely force his ult. Hercules and Hades can use Herbois to snowball into the mid game, while Sobek can match Herbois in late game. Hercules. Now, Hercules has amazing clear, and if you give him the opportunity, he will also snowball into the mid game, which will then make him very hard to kill. However, anti-heal will help against him. Odin probably won't solo a Hercules, but his cage can set up for a gank. Sobek will lose lane initially, but he will outshine Hercules in late game, and Chang'e is a bit of a flavor pick. Chang'e is good against Hercules, having sustain and anti-heal, but she relies very much on using her abilities to avoid Hercules' abilities, which is not a bad strategy, it's just not for everyone. Hunters. Hunters are almost never played in solo lane, so I don't have the time to go over all of them. Therefore, there might be better counters than the ones I'm giving you right now, depending on what matchup you're in. Counters that usually work are Bellona, which is pretty much the anti-hunter, Kuzenbo, just because he can reflect all the damage, Xingqian because of his basic attack reduction, Nike because of her disarm and because she doesn't get outshined in late, and Tyr because he can bully every squishy, especially the ones with low mobility. Loki. Loki has a really weak early game. However, from level 9 onwards, he has probably one of the best clears in the game, just being able to put his decoy from a distance and then just rotate away. He's also really annoying and can split push really well, as long as he doesn't get behind in early. So to get him behind in early, you can pick something like Bellona, Osiris or Cuchulainn. Cuchulainn also has the additional benefit that he has a built-in mystical mail, which allows you to track Loki even in stealth. Tyr is good against Loki because he can punish squishies really well and he can interrupt his stealth. And the funnest counter against Loki is Ymir, because Ymir wall can be placed into the Loki decoy, which makes his clear useless. Nike. Now, don't let anyone tell you that Nike is not viable, because Nike is really good. However, it's not good as a first pick because it can get counterpicked very easily by every god that can interrupt her clear, like Hercules, Erlang Shen or Tyr, but also many other gods. And especially if you have a lot of sustain in your kit, Nike barely stands a chance. Odin. Odin has a lot of early game damage, but his Bird Bomb combo can be interrupted by gods like Sobek and Xingqian. Xingqian being especially good because he also cannot be trapped. Osiris is one of the only gods that can match Odin in early game pressure, but his passive and his ult also allow him to get out of Odin cage. Similarly, Ravana can also ult out of Odin cage, and his early game pressure is just enough not to get pushed out of lane. Ravana, however, has immunity in his kit, making it really easy to immune the Bird Bomb, leaving Odin very vulnerable. Osiris. Osiris is a really good solo laner, because he will almost never lose lane in a 1v1. Bellona seems to be the obvious pickup for a lot of pros against an Osiris, and you can also play Xingqian, because Xingqian reduces his auto attack damage and outscales him in late. That being said, Osiris still doesn't do too badly against these two, and therefore remains largely uncountered. Raven, or Ravana. Now, Raven doesn't really bring a lot to the team and is therefore not picked as much in solo lane. He has a lot of single target damage, but other than that he doesn't really do anything. He is a great lane bully if you manage to snowball, so you need to pick a god that doesn't allow him to snowball, like a Bellona, an Erlang, or the safest of all, Sun Wukong. Just be aware when playing Erlang that you don't have slow immunity and can therefore get punished really hard if you misplay and don't have sprint. Sobek. So I want to start off by saying that nothing really counters Sobek. He is so tanky and has such a diverse kit that there is not a god that can single-handedly counter him. If you want to take advantage of his bad early game, you probably want to play Erlang. Erlang will probably get ahead and can do a lot if he starts rotating. However, you will never be able to solo the Sobek because you don't have any slow immunity and Sobek can anti-heal your ult. If you want to play for the late game, Amaterasu is probably a better pick. Amaterasu won't lose lane against the Sobek and is really good in late game, but then again, so is Sobek. Sun Wukong can also be played against Sobek, because he will win lane by a bit, but he will lose late game by a bit. So what I'm trying to say here is it really depends on your playstyle, and Sobek is pretty much uncountered. You can also pick Xing Chen to have one of the most boring solo lanes in the world, but Xing Chen at least will be able to match his presence in late game. Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is extremely safe in lane, has good poke and has good late game. A combination of those things makes him really hard to counter. However, gods that have a lot of sustain and that are better than Sun Wukong in late game will outshine him. Therefore, a Guan Yu, whose clear also can be interrupted, and an Aphrodite might be good matchups against him. Tyr. Tyr is really good against squishies and high CC comps. His early levels aren't the best though, so Osiris and Erlang Shen can punish him easily after he uses his dash. Hercules is also a good pick against him for the same reason, but also because his dash can interrupt the Tyr dash, making him even weaker in lane clear, and therefore making it really easy to snowball. Vamana. Vamana has pretty good wave clear and really fast rotations. Vamana gets totally shut down by anti-heal, because without healing his ult does nothing except make him a bigger target. Therefore, gods like Osiris, Cuchulainn and Odin are very good against him. And finally, Xing Chen. Xing Chen is very similar to Sobek except that he doesn't have anti-heal in his kit, but basic attack damage reduction. Therefore, some ability-based gods will perform better on him. Hercules will undoubtedly win lane and has a CC immune ult, and Guan Yu actually has a place to shine here because Guan Yu is great late game, but also in the laning phase his clear cannot be interrupted by Xing Chen unless Xing Chen uses his ult. Guan Yu however has a CC immune ult of his own, so this matchup should be favored towards Guan Yu. You can also play Cuchulainn into Xing Chen for the same reason as Hercules. You don't get countered, you win early game and hopefully you can snowball off that and punish Xing Chen really hard. Anyways, that's all I got for the solo lane matchups. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something, and I will see you all in the next video.